There's a version of divorce that can look almost settled from the outside. The meeting gets booked, the calendar keeps moving, the person sounds composed, and still, underneath all of that, everything can feel noisy, heavy, and a lot less in control than it seems.
And that's such an important place to start, because calm on the surface and steady on the inside are not the same thing. Divorce can look organized while someone is privately carrying grief, fear, anger, shame, relief, confusion, all of it, all at once.
That's really the kind of moment we care about on Advising Humans. The moments where the conversation sounds practical, but what's really happening underneath is deeply human.
Because in a moment like this, the advisor's job is not just to explain options. It's to help the client feel less flooded, less alone, and a little more able to think clearly again.
And I think that's what people miss. Someone can sound clear, even decisive, and still be completely overwhelmed.
Totally. Sometimes what sounds like certainty is really fear trying to regain control. Sometimes what looks like procrastination is actually depletion. Sometimes what sounds like a practical decision, like the house, is really grief in disguise.
That reframe changes everything.
It really does, because then the goal of support shifts. It's not just here are your options. It's how do we make this feel less impossible? How do we slow the pace enough for better decisions to become possible?
Yeah, because good support during divorce shouldn't feel like more information piled onto someone who's already overloaded.
Exactly. It should feel calmer, clearer, and more doable. It should help someone sort what matters now, what can wait, and what's only creating more noise. That's where real value starts to show up.
And when that doesn't happen, everything starts to feel equally urgent.
Right. Housing, cash flow, account access, insurance, legal steps, kids, routines, future planning. It all starts stacking up at the same time. And when everything feels urgent, people rush, freeze, or swing back and forth. That usually doesn't mean they're failing. It means they're overloaded.
Which is why one of the most important things a good advisor does is reduce mental load.
Yes, not by taking over someone's life, but by bringing structure when everything feels shapeless. A great advisor slows the pace. They don't confuse speed with progress. They create clarity and sequencing. They reduce the number of spinning decisions. And they protect the client from fog decisions, the kind of irreversible moves people make under pressure just to make the pain stop.
So it's not just information, it's protection.
Exactly. Protection of decision quality. Because a lot of the worst decisions in divorce are not intelligence problems. They're timing, overload, emotion, and pressure problems. A good advisor helps create enough steadiness that wiser decisions become possible.
And I think that's probably helpful for clients to hear too. Feeling overwhelmed doesn't mean you're bad at this. It means this is hard.
Totally. And it means support matters. Good support should make you feel less alone with the decisions. It should help you carry less in your head.
Right. Carry less in your head.
It should help you leave a meeting with more clarity than you had when you walked in. The advisor's job is not to make you feel rushed, intimidated, or more confused. It's to help the next step become visible.
And that's such an important distinction. It's not just about making good decisions, it's about creating the conditions for good decisions. So what does that look like in practice? How does an advisor actually create that steadiness?
Well, one of the most helpful things is a simple communication rhythm. Regular check-ins can lower the anxiety of feeling like you have to remember everything at once. It gives the chaos a little container. And even something as simple as a one-page summary after each meeting can make a huge difference because now the client has a clear record of what was discussed and what happens next. It gets some of that mental load out of their head.
That's so practical. It gives the client somewhere to put all of this besides their own head. Okay, I really want to give people something useful here. If someone listening is going through divorce, What are a few questions they can ask their advisor to see whether the support is actually helping?
Sure. Here's the first one. Can we sort what's now versus next versus later? That question is powerful because it invites sequencing, and sequencing creates breathing room. It moves the conversation away from everything all at once.
That one alone feels calming.
It really does. Second, which decisions matter most this week and which are reactive? That helps separate required steps from pressure-driven moves. Required steps move life or process forward. Reactive steps often just temporarily relieve anxiety and create regret later.
That's such a helpful distinction.
It really is. And third, can we capture this on one clear page so I'm not carrying it alone? That question is really grounding because in high-stress meetings, people forget things. A good advisor should be able to help make the conversation simpler and easier to hold on to,
That line is so good, so I'm not carrying it alone.
because that's what good support often feels like. Not that someone is controlling your decisions, and not that someone is pretending everything is fine. It feels like someone is helping you carry something heavy in a calmer way. Less alone, less flooded, a little more steady.
Right. And I think people can mistake support for someone being warm, but still not actually useful.
Yes, real support is warm and practical. It should acknowledge the human reality without turning the meeting into therapy. It should respect the emotional weight without getting lost in it. And it should still help you make progress.
So you're saying balance matters.
Yes, the best advisors are not becoming therapists. They're becoming better guides, better listeners, better at helping people slow things down, and better at protecting people from bad decisions made under pressure.
That's such a good way to say it. Better guides.
Yes. And another really important part of this is dignity. Good support should leave you feeling more respected, not smaller, more informed, not buried, more capable, not ashamed that you don't have it all figured out yet. Because divorce can come with so much self-doubt and so much pressure to appear strong, even while falling apart privately. A good advisor helps reduce that pressure, not add to it.
Yeah, because I can imagine so many people feeling like they should already know what to ask.
Totally, and that's why good support includes helping people ask better questions, not expecting them to arrive fully clear in one of the hardest seasons of their life. A great advisor helps the client breathe, sort what matters, and take the next right step. That's such a meaningful version of advice.
So maybe the takeaway for someone in the middle of this is that good support shouldn't leave you feeling more spun out. It should leave you feeling calmer, clearer, and more able to move, even if life is still hard. And there's another layer here too, which is the sheer volume of advice that comes from outside the professional relationship. Friends, family, articles online, everyone has an opinion. A good advisor helps the client navigate that noise instead of getting buried by it.
Yes, hard doesn't have to mean chaotic. Supportive doesn't have to mean vague. Good support can be structured and kind at the same time. It can slow the pace, lower the pressure, and help protect you from decisions you'd only make because everything hurts right now. That's what this should feel like.
And that really reframes the relationship. The advisor isn't just there to talk about money. They're helping the client breathe and take the next right step, not all the steps at once.
That's right. In a lot of ways, they're helping manage the overwhelm. They're keeping track of the moving pieces, but they're also creating enough space for the client to think. Even a sentence like, "This week, our only goal is to get clarity on the house, nothing else. We'll deal with investments next week," can be an incredible relief. It gives someone permission not to carry everything at once.
We've talked about the practical side of support, but I want to go a little deeper on the emotional side. Divorce is incredibly volatile. How does a good advisor navigate that emotional turbulence and provide stability without overstepping into the role of a therapist?
That's an important distinction. An advisor provides emotional support, not therapy. The line is usually around processing past trauma or deeper emotional issues. The advisor's role is to acknowledge the emotion in the room and connect it to the decisions in front of the client. So if a client is feeling angry, the advisor can say, "I hear how angry you are. Let's make sure that anger doesn't push us into a reactive decision about the settlement that you'll regret later." They acknowledge the emotion, then gently bring the conversation back to the practical decision in front of them. It's about making room for what's real, but still keeping the focus on the plan.
That makes so much sense. And then there's the opposite situation when a client is so panicked they want to rush through everything. Slowing down can feel, to them, like delaying the inevitable pain.
Yes, and that's where the advisor has to recognize the urgency without letting urgency run the meeting. You can respect the fact that the client wants relief while still protecting them from making irreversible decisions in the fog. Slowing isn't avoidance. Sometimes it's what keeps a hard moment from turning into a lasting regret.
And I think that really brings the whole thing together. Good support during divorce isn't just about being informed. It's about helping someone feel less alone, less flooded, and a little more able to take the next step.
If this conversation made you think differently about what good support should actually feel like during divorce, share it with another advisor or leader who wants to bring more steadiness and clarity to moments like this.
And if you want the full questions, meeting flow, and practical tools that help make divorce conversations feel steadier and less overwhelming, it's all in the Divorce Transition Playbook Suite for Advisors.
Because that's really what good support does. It doesn't just give people more information. It helps them feel less flooded, less pressured, and more able to move forward.
Thanks for listening to Advising Humans.
We'll see you next time.